Grandma, what was it like for you when you and Papa first got together? How did the world treat you differently? Growing up, I feel like we've heard a lot of the stories about the horrific events that occurred to Papa and his family, but we haven't heard a lot about how it was for you.
And first of all, I was raised up in West Virginia, and so was Papa, and it was very prejudiced. Papa and I first were getting together. It was in the 60s, and it was a very prejudiced time back then, and you didn't see mixed couples, at least not in West Virginia. I was always raised up that you could be friendly toward black people, but you never dated them. That was just a no-no. So the night that I met your grandfather, and it was his birthday, and this girl had asked me to take him a birthday present because she liked him and he didn't want to be bothered with her. So I took the present up to him. He was working at the nightclub and he was tuning his drums, and he was leaning over, and I said, "Are you Chuck Collins?" And he looked up and said, "Yep." And it went boing, and I've been following him around ever since. That was 54 years ago on June 25th. So that was when we first met. And the only date that was officially a date was we went to a drive-in movie together because it was dark and nobody saw us, I guess. But other than that, I remember saying, "Let's go out and have breakfast." And he said no, he couldn't do that, and it was because he was black. Well, we left West Virginia. He asked me, he says, "Do you want to go to California with me?" And I said, yeah. There was still prejudice, but it wasn't so violent as it was, say, in West Virginia. So when we got out here, Chuck's family welcomed me with open arms, but I didn't tell my family for a whole year after we were together that I was with him. And my mother said she cried at first, because I wrote it to her in a letter. She said she cried at first, and then she said, "Why am I crying? She's happy." So she was okay. I mean, it took her a minute, for the Lord to say, "Well, what's wrong with you, Helen?" But my brother and my sister, they never addressed it to me, but they never called me. Not until probably 30 years after we were together. They would talk to me if I called them, but they never reached out to me. My kids never received a birthday present, a note, a Christmas present, or anything from them. And I just figured, well, that's the way it was. Some of my aunts and uncles went to their graves without ever speaking to me again because I was with your grandpa. Basically, my family was non-existent in our lives until Granny Helen came to stay with us. As far as prejudice directed at us, your grandpa and I were stopped by police a lot of times because we looked like somebody who did something. I taught Sunday school at Hollywood First Baptist Church. This one day, we were driving down Hollywood Boulevard and the police pulled us over. And this one policeman, he was so angry, Allie, all I could do was close my eyes and start praying because he was holding a gun at Grandpa and he was shaking. He was just so furious. And for what? For nothing. We learned quickly that if we were looking for a place to rent, I went. Chuck didn't go with me. "Hey, Papa." Thankfully, I didn't have as bad a time in life as your grandpa did. We had taken the kids to Marineland, and we came out, and this lady was just staring at us and gawking at us. And I just got angry. I turned around and just told her, "Why don't you take a picture?" I was just so angry, like, we're just a normal family.